We're live almost on all the platforms. Oh, let's play the intro. We'll be right back. What's what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Let me just make a couple of quick announcements. One, David Icke is coming on next month. First part of the month. I'm not going to release the date till 2 3 days before we go live for obvious reasons. And thank you, everybody, for your continued love and support and contributions. Particularly, thank you, Ariana, for always supporting us and so many others because we couldn't do this every day. And with that, I see Jinjin Reynolds just said, I wonder how long I can focus on this. I have zero linear capabilities today. I don't think this show is going to be linear, not after what I've experienced over the last few hours. But, and it can't just be me. But, yeah, stick around. Let's see what happens. What's up, Ashley Lee?
What's up with you? It seems like a lot, and
Yeah.
it is amazing energies that are moving around today. Like my lighting, it's funny.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, it keeps trying to go out. That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. And it is kind of funny. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I really don't know. I don't know what to say.
I think we can just laugh in the joy, laugh in the opportunity, right, of what we're here creating on planet Earth in our everyday lives. And I think the linear and the nonlinear are combining.
Yeah, I think everything is right.
Exactly. Uh, it's hard to describe, isn't it? I don't think we've had words for.
I think I could have done okay up until today. Today, this as of this morning, I don't know
What are
if
you
I.
feeling in the moment? What inspires you to
I can't.
share?
I huh?
What
I can't. I
inspires
can't
you?
talk about it because I don't know what the hell. I don't. I really don't. I wouldn't know where to start. But it involves the body and the obviously the energy body and well, let's see. I can only compare it to when I reawoke and Jesus appeared in the trees. You know, a big star was coming at me. The trees by my house, and then his face appeared. Then we had a conversation, and then everything started. And the other time was I had a glass of tea in my hand, and they were trying to get a hold of me about 7 months later, and the tea, the glass busted. It just shattered. And so this is close, but I would say I could combine all those types of incidents and even all the incidents with Morgan, although it was with Morgan that this happened. And it wouldn't even come close to what's happened this morning. So I don't know. To me, it feels like, for me, a huge, I don't want to say final purge at all, but a very, very, um, a point where you're cleaning something like a pot and, it's got a lot of residue on it and you've been cleaning it and there's still some on there and you rinse it and look at it and there's still some residue. And like this one feels like it just got wiped clean. And I'm rinsing it with water and it's clean and I'm looking for any impurities and I can't see any. And so it feels like that. That's part of it anyway. Have you been feeling?
That's a beautiful sharing. I've been feeling the same in so many ways, and from the perspective of what I sense is that our fields are unifying, and we're unifying all the dimensions of awareness we have. So we're accessing our unconscious mind. We're accessing our unconscious heart. We're accessing maybe some of the unconsciousness we've had in other experiences of this beautiful universe we share life with. You know, so in all those many ways, right? It is truly upon us the dawning of this new age, right? And really, you know, I felt compelled to share, like opening the door for the children to walk in an unencumbered environment. And the children, I mean, and it can be all of us, right? It's not just the younger ones, it's also the older ones. And maybe we've become children of the universe and children of the creation that we all are together collectively. And those bandwidths of different dimensions of awareness and understanding are all blending with each other. And so we're releasing a lot of senses of duality, maybe not all of magnetic duality. Maybe we're going to redefine that so that our atoms stay together, right? And our beingness in a human body stays, and yet we still embody what we call, right, many of us call Christ consciousness, or the knowing of oneness, the knowing that we're not separate from one another, the knowingness of the transformation and the energy that you received earlier today, right? That's similar to the previous experience.
Yes, that actually describes in a very general way everything, the multiple things, but everything you described. And this for me started for us about 3 o'clock in the morning at 3:30. And everything you described is contained in it, including the lucid dreams. It's so funny because Morgan, we were watching a show the other night. It was a series called The Undoing with Nicole Kidman and a bunch of other, Reese Witherspoon and Meryl Streep. It's a really cool series. It's 6 parts. And there was a scene in there where one of the main characters, these 5 women, her mother was kind of into Santeria or crystals, or and so she put a crystal on her nightstand, pointed at her head. And Morgan said, "Oh," and I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Well, if you get a certain type of crystal and you point toward your head, it'll really enhance your dreams." And she said she did it before, and she had to stop. And so it's funny, last night, because we were watching the last season of Vikings came out last night. Our internet went out when it came back on. It was there, even though it was supposed to start on the 30th, which I guess technically it was. And so we watched that, and then I was starting to fast yesterday, and I didn't do perfect. So I had some chicken broth, out of a powder, which has MSG in it. And I was thinking to myself, I want to ask Morgan if there's a crystal in the house where I can enhance my dreams. And then I consumed all this MSG, and I was thinking the same thing. I thought, oh, when you do a lot of MSG, it makes you have these crazy dreams. And that's what happened. And then I woke up this morning, and it was an absolute human aspect, absolute just chaos, or I don't know what you want to call it. Then I jumped in the shower, and everything from last night when we put our hands together came back and more. And it's everything you described. It really is.
Yeah, I've recognized too the same thing. Eating foods that maybe I don't know. You know how you describe what is pure food, like versus whole foods that are unencumbered by negative energies, either mental, emotional, and mostly physical, right? Processed food and things, and I think it does affect our body very significantly. And I've definitely had very weird dreams too, dreams I've never had before, and I haven't even dreamed in a long time. I've been awake all night for the last 13 months. I've never really slept because I recognize that I'm not asleep anymore. I'm awake, and I was literally awake. And so my consciousness was awake. My consciousness entered into these dream states. And I sense what you mean by dreams is, so coming up to the new year, many of us, most of us, are dreaming about what the new year is going to bring forward. But what if we're purging also these ideas of these old dreams based in these old paradigms, based in these old ways of thinking that were fear-based?
Could be. Yeah, could be. Well, it makes sense. Everything that's not going with us is, I mean,
Fear-based.
I'm looking at Jim's comment. So this is saying the same thing, but she's saying it in her own words. Everything solid went pixelated, and the sky is fluid. My mind is trying to rationalize all these experiences.
Right. So what if we can be these ascended beings that have walked down into a descended, so to speak, third dimensional reality, fourth dimensional, even fifth dimensional reality that's based in atomic structures, where we're wanting to have linearity or rules orientation, or, constructs of duality, and all of these constructs that the third and fourth and even the fifth dimension somewhat describes.
Yeah.
And what if we can, though, have a nonlinear conversation and a linear conversation at the same time?
How do we do that?
Because quite
Are
honestly,
we
we do.
a non-linear conversation right now? And I know we're having a linear conversation. I think we're having a non-linear too as well.
Exactly. Because what if the time is ticking on the video screen and the video platform, right? So time is ticking. We're having a linear chronological conversation,
Yeah.
and yet we're speaking of nonlinear items. And so we're unifying the field. We're having to have the opportunity of all of these awarenesses all at the same time.
Yeah.
And what if our brain and nervous system can actually handle that and process that information?
I think
And
that's what's happening. I think that's what's happening. I think we're going at warp speed. When we connected last night, I said, because there was this incredible team of beings, and I asked her, I said, "Are your eyes open?" She said, "No." I said, "There's a whole bunch of family here." And then she's like, "Well, okay." So we started experiencing it, and she already knew. And I asked them. I said, and I've asked them before, but I told them last night because they were saying like, and again, I think this is happening everywhere to a lot of people, and it was like, "Oh, we're about ready to take this to the next level. You're ready now." Uh, in other words, what they said was, it's going to be like a light body to light body connection, visitation, interaction. There's going to be a certain amount of physicality to it as well. And I said, "Give me everything I need, everything that's left that I need to clear or whatever, give it to me now." And throughout the night, until I woke up this morning, that's what happened. And then until I jumped in the shower, and when I jumped in the shower, it went really crazy. But there was so much information given, and I briefly talked to Morgan. She was telling me last night, because when I was speaking about what was happening, and then at a certain point, something occurred, and some energy was shot into me twice, and I said, "I cannot talk anymore." And then she didn't talk because she was getting so much information so quickly. And the weather, it started to get really windy just all of a sudden, and it starts pouring rain. And right before the show, by the way, it just started hailing. And so there's something going on where everything is integrating. But one of the things they showed me last night that you were talking about in your general description, they were showing me how in the galactic realm, which is a very important and close to us part of part of our experience in this realm, was showing me how we have multidimensional experiences, and we literally have conscious lives going on at the same time, and you have a greater consciousness of your multidimensionality. But it also showed me that in every one of those cases, there's a certain element of forgetfulness. Like your higher self is not totally in that one of those beings. They're still at different levels of frequency too. That happened.
That's a gorgeous depiction of ways in which we manifest our different realities all at the same time.
Yeah,
I
and of
love
course,
it.
yeah, I didn't even talk to Morgan about this shit. But I guess I did tell her this when right before I got on the show, because I sent you a note. I said I need 30 minutes. I can't do this. I seriously thought for a second about not doing it at all, but then I realized that I was supposed to. And but I came down. And I told her, I said, I don't know. This has been bigger than those other things that happened to me, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say to people. I don't know how I cannot be very, very straight up, blunt, truthful, honest. Period. Am I going to piss people off? What's going to happen? I don't know. And that's just one aspect of it. But
So what
they,
if part of your evening and your receiving of this information is a lot of gamma rays, right? Is a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
gamma.
I don't know. I don't know the scientific part of it at all. I
But what if
just know. I
it's
just
not
know.
scientific in the sense it's just a brainwave pattern, and your
Probably.
brainwave pattern, right, out of the beta, which is logical linear, right? That's just a name for it.
Mm,
And then gamma is this full stream of
mm,
information and energy coming in. And then like in the movie Lucy, where she's getting full stream information, she's in a car, and then she takes her hand and she grabs that information, just picks out just a teeny piece of it. I call that epsilon. It's a slow brainwave pattern where you get very subtle, soft, simple. And what you do is with your own massive download, you say, okay, I choose in this moment to focus on one particular area. And so you can imagine your etheric hand coming into your energy body, extrapolating one piece of data or several pieces of data that make a lot of sense, so that
mm,
you can then bring it in to your other brainwave patterns, right? Those other dimensions of reality, and sort for, categorize, process, understand, and then share with other people,
mm.
right? Because as messengers, and we're all messengers,
Yes.
there's not just some get it a little more often than others, but we're all messengers. But when we get those downloads, when we get that streaming, what we can do is articulate a specific piece of it and ask our different parts of ourselves, like you said, different higher levels of ourselves, which one would you like me to focus on now? And then that way it's a little bit easier to amalgamate or bring into our physical body, and then process that information with the little brain we got, and then share it orally, or share it telepathically, or share it empathically,
Mm.
right? All those ways in which we
I,
beautifully communicate with one another.
yeah. I think it's just incredible download. I don't think I missed anything. I'm not saying that, like, I've never said that before. I don't think I missed any of the information, and I could go in and pull it out. It's like it's all there, And then there's the physical body. Something happened in this download too, which I didn't really get till I jumped in the shower and I got out. My body's lighter. There was a full Kundalini charge that went into my body twice last night. Okay, like one right after the other. It's still there. It's like it's plasma, like it's coming in through my root, and it's because it's plasma, it's not moving like light, like quickly. It's just permeating. It's just, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's being absorbed in reverse.
Right. And this is the consciousness I sense we absorb physically into our body. And it actually does start to shift our DNA. It starts to shift the way in which we have physiological changes in our body. And so that's why I think we're being called to cleaner and cleaner food, cleaner and cleaner water. I kept getting, as part of a self-care, I needed more water, but it wasn't more volume of water or less volume of water. What it was about is structuring the water. And so I've always realized that we don't just drink H2O. we drink water that might be structured, if we put it under a microscope, as H2O, but actually when we bring it into our body, our own vibration, even in the third dimension, changes it to structured water, which is H3O2. And then as we carry deeper and deeper consciousnesses, it's because a lot of times I'll agree to be in the 3D with everyone else, or I'll agree to be in the 5D with everyone else. I prefer to live in the 12D, and pretty much everyone who knows me personally would agree with that, because I don't make any sense and I don't know what I'm talking, all this kind of stuff. And so what I realized was, before coming on the show, I needed to structure my water. I said, what would my water like to be structured in this moment in my body, to emanate the consciousness that everyone would like to receive today? Right? Because it is our viewers, it is the world that we're sharing this with, and being in consensus with, and in community with. And inside that, I got, okay, H1303. And I just came across that structure a few weeks ago. And I asked, is that the Christ consciousness structure? And I get, yes, it is. In the physical body, H13, I don't even know. I think that's just sacred geometry, and what that molecule of water looks like in every cell of your body. And then to emanate that out. So we don't have to say what it is, right? H1303. We just literally emulate it out to the world and recognize we're not separate from each other. And I think the challenges are, when we're light workers, when we're plasma workers, when we're all these types of healers, right? Chefs are healers of food, right? The police were meant to be healers of justice, right? The firemen are meant to be healers of fire that got out of control. So we're all healers in all the ways that we choose to archetype ourselves in the physical world. And so when we do that, we emanate that consciousness to each other, sharing it amongst one another in the oneness that we are. And when we're sensitive to other people's thoughts and feelings, a lot of times we shut down who we are. We minimize that molecular structure in our body because it's too scary to feel everybody else's stuff. It's overwhelming. It's like when I was a little kid, I felt like a sparkler on fire all the time. And bringing in everyone's thoughts. And I can tell you, for the most part, many of us on planet Earth have been cajoled into making decisions based on fear.
All the decisions have been based on fear.
Right. So I don't
and
know, now it's been about 12 or 13 days ago that I decided I open to making every decision based in love, every single one. And when I'm not making a decision based in love, I choose to awaken to that experience that I'm having, so that I have the opportunity, inside conscious choice, to make that change and make that shift, make that decision. And then when I started living then that every day and every moment, is as I awaken to this change and transformation, I recognize that when we make decisions based in fear, we create solutions based in fear. And I didn't realize how much problem solving we run around doing from fear versus problem solving from love. So like when we do the process, like Morgan so beautifully illustrates about zero pointing, when we zero point and we release the judgments of what happens, we begin, even if we started from fear, we begin to resolve the conflict into love. And then we create solutions around the problem based in love versus fear. I think that's when we start to really, when we live that every day, that's why you're feeling your body physically, chemically change, biochemically, bioenergetically, right? That's a new term.
Bioenergetically?
Yeah, bioenergetically. That's where we change.
Is it all that, or are we just aligning? And is there any solution to be gotten anymore? I mean, I don't know. I'm grasping here. I'm hearing what you're saying. But I feel like, based on 4 or 5 people's comments, based on what happened to me last night, based on the energy between us, based on the fact that it's the 30th of December 2020, we're about to go into 2021. I mean, it's not doing, it's being, right? I mean, it's not even thinking. This is what I'm getting. Like, it's not even thinking about it. You just do it. And if there's anything that's not in alignment that you're carrying, it's not even your choice. It's going away. So it's the judgment of, can I eat this? Can I smoke that? Can I drink that? Can I have sex? Can I go shopping whenever can I do whatever I want to do? It's the judgment that is the negator, that's going to negate the natural flow. It's just being us. That's it. This is
It,
the whole gift. The whole
it
gift
can
is,
be.
I get to be Todd. You get to be Ashley. We are already all those things that are coming back to us. But we don't get to do this, but we can do this now with this awareness. But with this awareness also comes these higher skills and abilities. And I don't think so. I know we're there. I know we're there. And Morgan told me right before I came on, she said, just remember, it takes 3 to 5 days for this stuff to settle in. I said, I absolutely know that. But I can tell what this is. Like, I can tell that in all ways on the timeline as we go into 2021, in the physical, in the etherical, in the merging of the physical and non-physical, the the experience for me started last night. We put our hands together, and the reality of oneness with her was like it. And I've had many great experiences with her, but it was so physical. Like, our hands were together, our forearms were touching a little bit. It became a solid plasma flow, electrical, magnetic, and I was literally traveling through the universe of Todd, of Morgan, and exploring. And it was just pure love. It was the purest love, you know, and that's how it started.
It's
And
beautiful. And
I'm all over the place, but I'm just telling you.
you reached a level of, um, I guess you could call it frequency consensus. So you both met each other at the same frequency. You both met each other unattached to an outcome. You both met each other in complete acceptance and surrender. And as we support the whole entire world, right, becoming humanity, becoming one, right, we see the bridge to that is creating consensus amongst one another,
Yeah,
and that
I
sense of relating to each other.
well, I mean, we've done that so many times, right? But and it just started that way for me, and I would assume for her, right? But that's to me, that's, I don't want to say normal, but it's normal. Now, the intensity of it was fed by a third energy. And I clearly saw that last night. I clearly saw this pyramid, and I saw this third energy, and it was represented by our higher selves, by galactics, by angelics, by it was everything like that. And then it all came in, and but to me, the significant thing wasn't what occurred between us. I'm not taking anything away from that. What I'm saying is something came in last night, and based on what I'm looking on these comments, and what I'm feeling in the field, which is probably the only thing I can do, that I know I can do as good as anyone can, and that is to read the field. It serves me in my work. CC Reed just said, did you see this message? So she sent me a message at 10 o'clock this morning. I dreamt about you and Morgan this morning. All I can remember is an incredible sense of well-being. We were on stage or something, but it was so good. I went back to the dream and I woke up late for work. Um, this is what I'm talking about. I think we're moving into this alignment. I think we've underestimated all the work we've done, and also maybe underestimated, just because we've never experienced before, the level of connection that we're having all over this world, and how powerful it is, much bigger than you know, elections being argued whether they were fraud or not, much bigger than secret space program, much bigger than viruses and quarantines, much bigger than all these debates that we have. It's just like, okay, I can do this, and I can do this as being electrified, sitting in my chair, talking to you? Are you going through however you go through it? I think this is where we're at. I think we've blown the door open.
Yes, we have. I want to share, like 2 days ago, I had this experience where when I kind of woke up, if you want to call it, really woke up every day to the experience of who I am and the truth of who I am, and that I'm a divine spirit in a human body having a human experience, and maybe many others in synergy on other platforms, other dimensions of reality. And upon this awakening, I recognized I shared with other light workers, I have a beef with Yahweh and a beef with the angel group, and I didn't understand what it meant. So I went through a series of events to understand. And what I was upset about was this concept of false father gods, and this concept of judgmental gods, and these energies that were setting up a punishment model that were keeping souls recycled in lower dimensions. And I was really challenged with that and upset with that. And I recognized that I needed to clear my upsetness in order to see the value of what was really going on. And so this went on for a decade. And in this internal maneuver of consciousness that I kept adjusting myself to and rendering the release of conflicts with it. What happened was 2 days ago, all false father gods joined me in a meditation. And I said, this is awesome. I am so tired of calling you all false father gods. I honor you. I respect you. You did some great things in the universe. It's awesome. And at the same time, you went into world domination and control and soul sequestering. So are you over all of that? Yes. It was unanimous. And I said, that's awesome. It's the first time I've seen that. I said, is there another name that I can support you with that's not false father God? And they said, yes. And I came up with it with another colleague later, and it was called primary loving being. So what if we can honor all of the different states of being that we've been in? And what they agreed to, several of them agreed to come down to the lower dimensions and be in the trenches. I said, will you help? Will you help with the settling, the unveiling, the oneness that we truly are, supporting everyone in experiencing eternal spiritual sovereignty? Are we complete with soul sequestering? Are we complete with energy parasitic consumption? Are we complete with this? Yes. I said, that's amazing, and thank you. And
Do you think that was, because this is not a linear conversation. This is not a linear part of the conversation. Do you think that exchange that you had was more likely to be with an external energy complex you referred to originally as the false father and now the other one? Or do you think it was actually the inner workings of your own universe, your own masculine, where you actually um, came to a point of balance and integration and equality within yourself, and this is how you were telling yourself, or how you were having yourself experience it?
that's a beautiful question and very well stated. And I want to share that, yes, it's me, because I'm not separate from you. I'm not separate from the collective. I'm not separate from religious indoctrination. I'm not separate from anything that hasn't gone well on this planet or in this universe since the dawn of time. Remember, in a previous interview, you had asked me, what was the first memory you ever had? I said, well, which perspective do you want? And you said, whatever one comes to mind. And I said, okay, I remember the dawn of the universe.
The what?
And the dawn of the universe.
Oh, the dawn of the universe.
I remember when it was first made. I have that memory very, very clearly. And so I'm a part of all that has been constructed. I am not separate from that. So when I acknowledge it in me, even as an individuated fractal of the whole, I recognize that I can change. When I change that in me, I change that in all. I create a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, from a duality standpoint, I was a little bit concerned with that, because I wanted everyone else who considered them separate and a fractal of the whole, whether they knew it or not, I wanted them to be in consensus too of this transformation. And I really sense, I believe, I feel, all of these areas of knowing is that it's coming together collectively. And you're right, in all the unique ways that we express our energy patterns,
Yeah.
we are clearing those.
Yeah. And you know, when you were talking about the part where, so I just want I'm already been honest. I don't know how much more honest I can be. Sometimes okay, but now I told you, I feel like I got to be honest. My root and sacral chakras are on fire. They are almost unbearable. So I'm having this conversation. I just want to give myself that qualifier. Uh, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to go back to that in a second. So Morgan said, we had a very similar exchange back in March. True. Lisa Renee's latest blog says on the 21st December, the draconian reptilian energy were overtaken by the higher realms. So many narratives energetically are saying the same thing. That, like, coinciding, for example, with what many people forecasted as the birth of the golden child energy, right? Going back to what you were saying about this conversation with this council of the fathers, right? As you were saying that, I felt like you're talking to me. Like, you're talking to us. We're the ones that came down here to embody in the flesh, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones. You're having a conversation with Todd or whoever else, right? Yourself. You're the ones. Are you ready to come down here and help us and incarnate? You were talking to us. You were talking to yourself. This is what we're doing. This is the non-linear part of the conversation.
Right.
And and I the words are becoming meaningless. The talking is, and I don't mean this conversation. I just mean it's that's linear.
Right.
That's linear. That's defining space and time, right? That's stopping the wheels. That this thing that's happening is, it's not a straight line. It's not even a circle. I see like the planet Saturn. You have the sphere. You have the rings going around. Now just start with multiplicity. Just start and create all these avenues, right? I mean, it's colossal. It's mind blowing.
So what if linear is okay too? Because I have to say, when I was younger and as a child, I couldn't stand linear, and I was dumbfounded by rules and all sorts of other things. So as an adult and as awakening, what if linear is okay too? Because what if linear is a part of the abstract esoteric? And it's not separate from. And so that we have different tools in our tool belt and different awarenesses in different dimensions to call upon to create different manifestations inside love and oneness. And we've never done
Mhm.
that before yet. And we're about to, which is really beautiful. And it has that opportunity. And so when we bring everyone into this understanding, we don't have to be upset or irritated at linearity anymore. And I'll tell you, that was a big learning in this incarnation. It was a very big learning opportunity.
Yes. Okay. So I'm having these two conversations with you at the same time, and I'm having this Kundalini thing happening. But so the linear is part of the celestial of the heavenly plane. I remember getting transmissions back 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I would do these radio shows and would just come out of my mouth, and I would just flow. And in that flow, I was just being a conduit, just like anyone else. And I was saying that the human hybrid soul species is becoming part of the universal family. And what I was trying to say was that at a certain level of frequency, you're beyond the let's say the lower kingdoms, okay, right? And you enter a space of more of a multidimensionality, and then we're actually coming into that. So we're bringing that. This experience itself is a holy whole experience. And you're right, because I got some of this last night too, because there's this big thing about how galactic she was and how earthly from the earth I was, even though we're from way back here, right? but that in this last hundreds of millions of years or whatever, I'm pulling this up and she's pulling that down. And there was an element of, for me, you've got to bring the organic into full embodiment. Like you bring the elementals and you bring the wind and the plants and the trees and the nature beings, and she brings the galactic. And again, this is metaphoric, and this is just a description of what's occurring, the feminine and masculine, integrating, everything integrating. But one of the things that came out of it was the pure linear experience that is initiated and experienced by two conscious, consenting or more, two or more souls in full physical consciousness is, it's holy, it's sacred.
It very much is. And so you bringing in both the heroes and the gamos, right, into physical form, and you become one, unified, right? Then what that happens is then the next realm is the unification of the child, so that you couldn't be more accurate. It is the dawn of the golden child, and it is the dawn of the time in which we recognize that we are a children, we are a child, we are a mother, we are a father, all at the same time. We are one, we are not separate. Even though in this moment we have chosen different archetypes to render in our physical bodies. So me being a female, you being a male. That's why we have a lot of the transgender and other situations coming up, because the children are wanting to express that we are not just male and female. We are not just a child of. We are all in one. And the really beautiful thing is we have in our own divinity, we have the opportunity to embody these different roles, to have different experiences of self-expression.
Yeah.
And self-expression is the part in which we feel so wonderful and great and have the opportunity. That's what you provide on this platform. You provide an opportunity for authentic self-expression without punishment or penalization or, I don't know, negation or laughter or, what you have to say is not valid. None of it's true. And you provide that truth and that platform for everyone to experience, which is divinely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder what that's going to mean to our physical bodies. I'm
I don't know.
serious.
Some
How
moments
far
we
does this
light up.
go? I mean, we could be
Some
having a show
moments
in a,
we light up, and
we could be
some
having,
moments we
huh?
don't.
We could be having a show in a year from now, and you say the same thing, and you say, and I'm in a man's body, and you're in a woman's body.
Well, that's correct. And what if
We
we're
have no
all?
idea where this is going. I don't know if I want to laugh or cry.
How about laugh? What if we are? What if all this is the pre supposition or the pre remembering of teleportation, for example?
I know it is.
So I think so too. So I was in Yogananda's Lake Shrine in LA, and I sat there in the back, not wanting to bother anyone because it was very quiet and everyone was meditating. And there were 7 pictures up on the wall. And I said telepathically, who would like to talk to me? And one came forward and said, me, me, me. And I said, that's awesome. Who's the me? And I opened my eyes, and there's Yogananda's picture going like this. And I said, so awesome to meet you. Thank you for creating such a beautiful space in Malibu, Los Angeles, California. And he said, why don't you come? He said to me, why don't you come sit in the front seat? And I said, very humbly and very honestly, I said, I already am. And I literally saw him come out of his picture and look at every seat. I said, I'm in every seat in this, what I would call a chapel because of religious doctrination, and you're calling it a shrine. It's wonderful. And it's a windmill area. It's a building. So it's very fascinating. And so he said, very good. And I said, and then he asked me what else did I notice, and I shared with him. But it was very amazing because I recognize I'm in all spaces all at once. I'm sitting there right next to you. You're sitting here right next to me.
So I'm like, sitting. It's not even, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just got to pass these 2 comments on. Jen Reynolds says that she has a huge etheric penis, no joke. And our local comedian, Dr. Joe, says that my breasts are developing well. You're so funny. You're so funny. Ah, yeah.
Right? And what if in other incarnations we've been men and women, and then we've been hermaphrodites, we've been one, we could procreate from ourselves?
I saw Morgan morph into, I don't know how many, probably 75 or 100 different, um, and she's all the same in me, but one of them had two heads. And they explicitly showed these were her incarnations uh, on Earth, and then it was off Earth, and then it was off universe. So yeah, man. I mean, this is no wonder we've been spoon fed, um, you know, the expansion of our memories and everything. It's not been. I mean, this is just the narrative. It's not the Matrix or the 1% or the Illuminati or anything. It's not. They're just the pieces on the storyboard, right? It's just simply that we took ourselves so deep that we have to spoon feed ourselves not to burn out, because our goal is to actually be physical in that higher frequency dimensional family I was talking about earlier, to carry all that with us in the physical. Think
And
about the magic.
what if the
Think about
body
the
has
magic of it.
right? I mean, what if the body has the ability to go beyond ones and zeros?
Hmm,
Like there are chiropractors and other metaphysicians around the world who have proven that the body responds to digital information,
hmm,
literally. So and by the way, all atomic materials are digital information. So I made a suggestion. What if we add in the fifth dimension, maybe not in the third, but in the fifth, what if we bring in twos? We have zeros, ones, and twos. What does that look like? And by the way, Yogananda had introduced me to someone who, beside him, which was his guru, and shared with me that he was going to teach me 6th to 12th dimensional physics. And what I recognize is those physics that I recognized earlier that calculus and numbers go out the window after the 6th dimension. And I said, okay, so what's in the 6th or 7th and above? And it's sacred geometry. And
hmm,
so regular or typical calculatable, right? Because those are all time linear spaced. Numbers are in time and linearity. And that's how we structure the third and fourth and fifth dimension, even higher dimensions somewhat, right? In the higher dimensions, right, they have crystal cities and other very deeply imaginative environments, but they've created them from physical atoms by utilizing numbers and sacred geometry all at the same time. So they've learned to bring in elements of the third or the littler, more dense dimensions to bring in forms of physical reality. So they utilize both, and that's why we look like. So some people have the ability to manifest that, and so they look like they're doing magic, but they're not. They're utilizing different dimensions of consciousness and awareness to bring in, with their spark of light, they're bringing in that creation, and
hmm.
it's real. It's
Well,
just
and that's why two people can experience shape shifting with each other, or the light bodies making love above them, or this is just simply a wider, more expanded spectrum of perception, and
exactly.
perception is consciousness, right? That's
Yes.
why the imagination is so important. That's why thoughts are so important, because as you expand, okay, as you expand, you can start to play with it. And if you're not prudent and intelligent about it, and constructive and creative and aligned about it, you can create some wild shit, and that's what
And
you're
maybe some
describing.
negative and unfavorable
Well,
stuff,
well,
also
and
called evil or bad or not good or those
yeah,
kinds.
by human terms, yes, you're absolutely
Yes.
right. But the thing is, you know, we're getting it. I guess is what I'm saying. Like we're getting it. Like okay, before this happened, there's been a slight build in my field, which I would say is of a lower nature for a few days. And it has to do with all this talk about a fraudulent election, or if it's not a fraudulent election, or quarantine, or how many people are really dying of COVID, or the mask thing, or all this fucking bullshit. And it's like, why are we always talking about this stuff, right? Now, this is me pre last night. So I'm not going there. I'm not going on a rant. What I'm trying to say is this is this energy supersedes it. It supersedes it. We're not going, oh, I'm not going to look there in fluffy love and light. We're just saying, I choose not to have that here. I don't want this in my field. I'm not going to allow my imagination, which is the core of my creation, of my life force energy, to be dealing with that. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And what calls you to not deal with that? What incites you, gives you insight to not do that anymore? Because I think this is a very beautiful and very valuable conversation.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. I'm talking about in the and I was even shown this stuff last night. I was shown, and I was telling Morgan about it, that the Great Divide is going to take on a multifaceted meaning. Like it's going to continue to have places of division, and it's like like if you look at a ruler that's got what is it, centimeters and decimeters and millimeters. You first cut it in the middle, and then you cut the quarters, and then you just keep, and it just keeps getting more and more and more, and and what like the reality of what we are, who we are, and what we're doing here, and how it all goes. This where the trajectory of this conversation goes, and so many that people are having. That part of it is so powerful, and it's already here. That those things become irrelevant to what is created.
Well, they become irrelevant, and as you make it irrelevant, and you no longer put a judgment on it being good or bad, and paying energy or attention towards it, you no longer feed it,
Yeah.
and it no longer then exists. And when you stand more and more inside a unified field of oneness, and you're not separate from that negative thing, and at the same time you're not giving any of that negative thing an energy, hate or discontent or whatever, then you actually start to dismantle it, you yourself. And
Yes.
when we have, I don't know, 50 million, 8 billion, you yourselves, all standing in a unified field, all recognizing their oneness, unfavorable, less integrous, obnoxious, terrible, heinous things begin to diminish across the world like that,
Mhm.
because we're no longer giving magnetic energy to that it can't hold itself together anymore. It literally 0 points.
That's right.
And that's how powerful we individually become. And then when we become that powerful inside consensus about these, we don't have to agree on the same belief systems. What we do is we agree that we're actually made of love. We agree that we're not separate. We agree that we can have individuated or fractal experiences and honor one another in those experiences.
Yeah. 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 Um,
And then we create a utopia we've never had before.
well,
Like,
I mean,
seriously.
okay. So this is okay. This is what we are. What you're describing is what we are. To what I, okay. And again, it's not linear. This is not a linear part of the conversation. So, they say it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? But it's not that simple. That's very two dimensional, three dimensional. That's linear. Okay. It's not the journey. I mean, it's a journey. It's not the destination. We already are the destination. We're playing a game with ourselves. We put ourselves in really deep. We're coming out of it. And the joy of it is, hey, I'm actually alive. I'm alive in a multi-dimensional way. I'm rooted in this physical body, which has blood in it, which uh, coming out of an environment where it ages and gets sick and dies and all that stuff. And we're actually reversing that part of it. I saw that part last night. I saw that too. I saw it happen in organs. I saw it happen in the blood vessels. Uh, so this stuff, like like we're getting to a point now where there's people very quickly, if they're not already doing it, are going to be transforming right before your eyes. And that's all the instruction anybody needs. All they need to do is come in contact with something like that, an energy like that, and it's immediately going to open up the code and the memory within themselves. And it's moving at warp speed. And that's just an example. That's an example with a very physical aspect to it in terms of physical transformation or regeneration. All right. But
Well,
this is what's
David Hawkins talked about that when he did extensive research when he was alive about how when one person stands in oneness and one person recognizes the truth of themselves as a divine being of love and recognizes that they choose every minute of every day to live inside every decision, every conversation, everything based in love. It not changes just the one you're talking to or the ones listening to the conversation. It creates a ripple effect across the universe.
yeah.
The scientists were proving that a thought, you can send a thought and it can end up in Alpha Centauri. I don't know, what is that, 13 light years away or 13,000 light, a long distance away. It can get there in 8 seconds. Okay. So even in a time linear construct, we express our multidimensionality. We express our true divinity all the time. Just didn't recognize it through the indoctrination and the teachings and the belief systems, value systems we've grown up to trust and believe was true.
What was that guy's name?
David Hawkins, he was an MD, PhD psychiatrist who was a massive metaphysician
Is
who
he
developed a
he
thing called
developed
map of
that's
consciousness.
Morgan showed me that. Okay.
And he lived in Sedona.
He did. Did
Yeah,
he have white hair with a white beard?
he did. He did.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was an
White
amazing
hair
physician,
with a white
metaphysician,
beard. Yeah. And
and I
then
heard that
there's a
he.
there's another wait a second. Okay, so this is the nonlinear. So there's another, like what you're talking about, like Morgan showed me the scale of consciousness, but like what I'm being shown is there's another scale. It's not a scale, but it goes along with what you're saying. And it's when a person hits a certain frequency, they affect X number of people around them. And each time they go up in frequency, and we're talking like hundreds of thousands, even millions of people. So I'm just showing that. I don't know if it's true. I just saw a
It's
man with a white hair and a white beard, and that's just the way it's going today. So I don't know.
it's true.
Uh,
We cause that ripple effect, and
but it
and
makes sense, right? It makes sense.
when we
Totally.
create that ripple effect from non-fear, like I have a conflict with you
Mm,
and I don't like it. And so I want to fix it because
okay.
I don't like it because it doesn't serve you or me or anyone else.
Mm,
When I do that from that premise of fear, what happens is then my filter of fear that created that discord then taints the healing and impacts us when we do that. And so when we're standing in oneness, the value point, the opportunity is to be as clear as possible, as clear in the moment, or acknowledge we're not being clear, and then go
mm.
back go back
We're gonna have a
inwards a
lot of
little
fun in 2021. I'm sorry. Go
bit
ahead.
and clear yourself before you decide to when you want to clear the consensus of the oneness that we
Yes,
are.
yes, that's right. Man, so many things have happened over the last week that's kind of like there's been a simultaneous triggering and activating, and I knew they were related, almost like an infinity sign, right? Like a triggering's on one end, and they were always seen as good. They weren't pissing me off. They're just like, oh, and then the activation tied to it. And then this happens last night. This isn't just me, and I know that this is something huge. It's what, we're 36 hours. What, tomorrow? It's already
Right.
New Year's Eve in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, so I have to be I have to be frank and blunt. So I have a Franco in 23 minutes, and I can't. I'm going to have to integrate this powerful conversation and everything that's happened. I really enjoy spending this hour with you. You are like the fucking Energizer Bunny, excuse my French, but I love it, and I can pick it up. And today proved it even to the nth degree. But you have a tremendous amount of great information, and there's no coincidences. So I just want to say thank you for
Oh,
sharing
thank you.
space uh, and honoring with your presence. We'll be back in 23 minutes, and all blessings to you and Marvin and all your loved ones.
Thank you so much. And you as well. Love to the world. And I am so excited to bring in the new year with all of this opportunity. It's beautiful. And I'm
Mhm.
grateful.
Thank you. See
Thank
you
you.
later.